Okay, so I'm going now. I'm making a movie. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be looking at on page 282, investigating number 7. So take a picture of this. I'm going to move off it. So the idea is that number of beds versus daily cost of patient. So first, what we're going to do is go to our calculator, and we're at the home. You click the home on the upper right hand corner, and the first thing we're going to do is enter the data. So we're going to click on this green thing, and on top up here we're going to type in beds, enter, and then on top of next to B we're going to do cost. Okay, and we're going to put the data in. So it's 300, and then 200, and then 180, and then 250, and then 450, and then 330, and then 500, and then 510. Sorry. And then I'm going to go back to the cost and put the Y values in. 40, and then 200 goes to 45, 50, 43, 38, 40, 37, and 35. So we have all the data in our current calculator. The next thing we want to do is we want to take a look at the graph. So go back to the home button on the upper right-hand corner, and then we're going to go to the fifth thing over, the pink thing, or the graph, those bar graphs. Click on that. And we notice that, let me move my face out of the way because you don't want to look at my face. So what we're going to do is you're on the screen, and at the bottom it says click to add variable. You're going to click on that, and there's beds and costs. So along the x-axis, I'm going to choose the beds, and then along the y-axis, I'm going to click cost. And we can see that it's kind of like a negative correlation. So what we can do on this screen is we can go to Menu, Analyze, Regression, Show Linear mx plus b, and it gives us the equation of our regression line. Now, I want a little more information because I want to know if how good this is, it like really the best fit, and like what's the R value. So what we're going to do is we're going to do Control left arrow and go back to our data, and then you can move the cursor up to like C1. Then we're going to do Menu, Statistics, Stat Calculations, Linear Regression number 3. And let's look at the fields. So the X list, we're going to move the mouse over to the arrow. The X value is bets. Then we're going to tab down to the next field, and then move you can hit the right key, and then you're going to look at costs. Okay, now we know, we know the regression is that equation. It's going to save it to F1. We're going to see in a second the F1, right? Right? In the movie, see? And then, so once again, in this third field, this is F1. We're going to get back to that in a second. Keep going down, and it's going to put it in column D. So you click OK, and we can see here that it gives us the regression line in the same way that so the slope is negative 0.0338, and the y-intercept is 52.5. If we scroll down a little bit more, we can see the R value is negative 0.9225. And so we know that we like that because whether it's negative 0.922 or positive 0.922, that's a strong positive or negative correlation. The other things we're not interested in, and we can actually scroll down a little bit more. Actually, that's all the information we got here. Nice. Just a little side note, if you want to find information about the data, so for example, another thing we can do is we can go to Menu, Statistics, Stat Calculations. If we do 2 variable statistics, it'll tell us things about the individual columns. So for example, I want the mean and the standard deviation of column A, the bets, or I want the mean and the standard deviation of the costs. That's what 2 variable statistics can do, but we're not interested in that. So let's escape, escape, escape. Now, the question asked us, well, we have the scatter plot, the scatter graph. We have the linear regression. We have the R value, which was negative 0.922, and we have the regression line, which is y equals negative 0.0338, x plus 52.5, and you can draw the graph. The question is, the part 6 asks, what would be more reliable, using the regression line to estimate the daily cost for a patient in a hospital in the same product that's 280 beds or 600 beds? So the idea is, in the question they asked for 280. Well, if we go over to the if we go over to a column, we see the beds. It ranges from what, 180 up to 510. So this regression line is really good for 280 because it's like interpolation. Now the question is, how do I figure out what 280 would cost? Well, what we're going to do is go back to menu. We're going to go to Scratchpad. Okay. Now here's the cool thing. If you recall, when we found the regression, it said the regression was F1. So what we're going to do is F1, open parentheses, 280, and enter. It tells us that the cost should be about $43.03. Now we can also figure out the regression for 600. So we can do F1, open parentheses, 600, enter. It gives us a value of 32.2, but because 600 is outside the range of number of bed values, once again, the bed values were 180 and they went to a match of 510. If you can put 600 in here and get a value of 32, and maybe it fits in the line, but because 600 is outside, we call that extrapolation, and it's not really reliable. And then question number 7, as when is it safe to make predictions? As long as it's within the values, it's safe to make predictions. And that's basically it.